All right, so is everyone here familiar with Chrisean Rock, the Henny bottle wielding ratchet who, is not known for really much anything positive besides beating Blueface?
I'm a little bit familiar with Chrisean. I've seen a few videos. It made me want to go to the dentist after I watched them, get a couple of my teeth fixed. What's going on with her?
So she is in a little bit of trouble. The Oklahoma Police Department would like to talk to her. She was in possession of a dangerous substance without a tax stamp. Now, I'm not necessarily sure what exactly the substance was.
When they say tax stamp, that implies that it's a taxable substance, and Oklahoma is a legal state for marijuana. And so I'm wondering if this is just a legal possession of marijuana, and that's how they punish you for that.
Illegal or illegal?
Well, without a tax stamp, so there would be black market marijuana as opposed to legally, because you have to go through all those red tape hoops and everything like that to get your dispensary set up there.
So if that had been it, how would they even know?
That's the question. I have no idea.
Maybe they just saw her and they were like, we got to get this scallywag off the streets.
Maybe she got pulled over and they found it in her car. It's totally possible. It says without a tax stamp. So in my head, that means they found her with the substance without the little sticker that you see in a lot of rec states that says this is a state-provided product.
Yeah, who knows? Shumba, what do you think this is?
So with Chrisean Rock and her catching this charge without
Chrisean.
With Chrisean Rock and her catching the charge of without the tax stamp and all that, she was also pinned with another charge of the intent to sell, which lets me know that the amount of what I can presume is weed because of the tax stamp charge is quite large. Whether or not that's for personal or to sell, I don't know, but with who she hangs around and the type of activities they get into, I can see it.
Knowing that now, I wonder if this is an attempt for her to absorb some of his criminal charges in order to relieve him of some of the punishment.
What?
Like if he got caught with something, like we asked earlier, how and when did they find her with it? We don't know that. Maybe she's made a statement to the police saying, oh, this was mine, to save Blueface. Does that make sense?
Do we even know if they were together in the car at the moment that this happened?
We don't know if they're together at any given moment.
That's a wild assumption.
Isn't he currently on house arrest?
Yeah, I don't think they were together.
That doesn't mean they don't love each other. They wouldn't be willing to do stuff for each other.
Together physically.
That's the only question I had. I was just wondering maybe she was trying to absorb something from him. Other than that, it seems kind of petty, like a petty charge to throw at somebody, especially in a state with legal marijuana. Like it just kind of seems they want to get her in trouble for something, if that's the case, and they found an easy way in. Oh, they're smoking weed, when everybody in the state does the same thing.
I haven't seen anyone say that Blueface was there, so I'm assuming that's not the case. I think she was just being a ratchet, doing what ratchets do. Let us know down in the comments below. What would you do if this was your girl? Should she go back to hitting Blueface with the Henny bottle? Are her and Blueface the goals couple? Or is this all for weed? Or you think it was crack? Let us know down in the comments below. All right, so for our next case, we have the Elon and Zuckerberg feud continuing. Twitter is getting after Instagram's new application for going through and hiring the ops. They went ahead and hired some people from Twitter, some ex-Twitter employees, to work on their new app.
I honestly don't think Elon Musk has much of an argument here, given that he's a billionaire and that most of the major innovations in the world come from stealing talent from other organizations. All the way back to the atomic bomb, we stole all the German scientists in order to do that. So in the market that we live in, a capitalist market. So at the end of the day, I think he's just kind of being a bitch.
Who's winning in a cage fight?
They are going to fight, aren't they?
Possibly.
Mark Zuckerberg's been working out a lot. I hate to admit it. He looks pretty fit.
Yeah. I don't know. Elon Musk is built like a square body bitch.
Elon Musk is built like Captain America if he was drawn by Todd McFarlane or that guy that did Deadpool. It's just completely disproportionate.
Elon Musk looks like Roblox. Do you think that this is going to, carry any weight? Do you think this is going to go anywhere? Do you think this is just going to, slow down Instagram's new app? What are you guys thinking?
The interesting thing about this is that this isn't an actual lawsuit. This is just kind of a threat, right? This is more like a cease and desist. On Elon Musk's side, he is essentially saying that, or him and Twitter are essentially saying that Meta's use of their previous employees still allow them to use a lot of Twitter trade secrets and stuff like that, whether that be code that was on some of the laptops that some of the employees kept, as well as some knowledge about how the Twitter algorithm itself uses. What they're attempting to do with this is essentially stop Meta from using any kind of pre-existing framework that allows them to build their platform that is going to be a rival to Twitter itself.
Do you guys think that another competitor app is going to be good for the market, kind of creating like a competitive type thing? And do you think this is like, I don't know, possibly just karma for Elon letting go of all those Twitter people?
I think honestly, this is, like I said it before, it's Elon Musk being kind of a little bitch because he's made his money in a capitalist market, right? Like where in capitalism, I mean like the best competitor rises to the top, cream of the crop. If you provide a better service, then you're the one that gets chosen by the market, right? That means that inherently you're always going to have a competitor. So like, let's say you invented some type of new brake system for a car. You can call it a trade secret, right? Until somebody drives the car and realizes how it works. At that point, it's not a trade secret, it's a public secret. Somebody's going to create a product that rivals your product. There's not really much you can do about it, except make a better product. That is capitalism inherently. So that's where I think he doesn't have anything to stand on. I also think they both have such overwhelming amounts of money that the amount of litigation, the amount of time that this would take to fully settle in court would be somewhere between like 20 and 30 years. So I think it's mostly just showboating, like them flexing their chests, basically saying mine's better than yours. I mean, they're about to have a cage fight, like you said. These are literal children with money living in 45-year-old men bodies.
So as for the trade secret thing, that's not quite how that works, because whenever you create a new technology or a new system that didn't exist before, you do get certain protections under the law that prevent people from essentially reverse engineering the technology or whatever tool you created and essentially making a direct clone.
Yeah.
They can make things that are a little bit off from it, and then that could be public knowledge and stuff like that. But the direct use of like specific lines of code or specific logic chains that allow Twitter to function, I don't think would be considered public.
Yeah, and I think they would have to prove that. But I also think things like that are usually time sensitive, if I'm not mistaken, like copyrights are.
Right.
I think there are 75 years max before you can say, okay, now this is open to the public.
Right. Unless it's specifically written to be open source where anybody can use it. Now, to answer Rugburn's question, I think it is going to be good for the market. However, knowing Meta and how they operate, especially on Facebook and Instagram, I do kind of fear that it can potentially create a form of echo chamber with how heavily they choose to moderate and the way that they constantly work hand in hand with the government to kind of, corral people's speech.
I think one's just going to end up blue and one's going to end up red probably, or something along those lines. Anyways, we'll go ahead and close that subject out like that. Let us know down in the comments below. Do you think this is just karma for letting all those people go at Twitter? Do you think that, this is going to go anywhere? Do you think it's going to stay at a stalemate? Do you guys want to see that cage fight? Let us know down in those comments. So for our next story, we will be talking about two people. One, Victor, whose last name I will not attempt to pronounce out of respect, who plays for the Spurs. I had never heard of him until this incident, but I'm sure he carries some weight. I mean, he plays for the NBA, so I'm sure he's rather, clouded up. And Britney Spears, right? So in a weird turn of events, Britney Spears is chasing this man down, I guess, in an attempt to get an autograph. And she goes to reach out for him. And the bodyguard, in my personal opinion, gives her a little bit of the little case of the slaps. I guess the police department is deciding to not go forth with criminal charges on it, and the bodyguard did apologize. What do you guys think of this situation? What do you guys think about the optics of Britney Spears chasing down someone for an autograph? That's kind of wild.
I think that's a huge part of it, and I'm going to come back to that later. But I think that if we frame this from the perspective of it had been a regular person, just a fan, I don't even think this would have been in the media. I think the only reason it got brought up was because it was Britney Spears. And I think the security guard was just doing his job, what he was paid to do, which was to keep people from getting too close to this NBA player. And if you watch the video, his back is turned. And in your head, Britney Spears is an extremely famous pop star. Can you imagine Britney Spears running up to you going, "Oh my God, Rugburn, Rugburn, Rugburn"? Are you going to assume in your head that this voice screaming your name is Britney Spears? No, you just know that they're coming towards your client and that your job is to stop your client from being accosted. You may lose your job if he gets mad at you. And so you turn around and you give a little, "Hey, stop." And you slap Britney Spears in the face. Okay? Now you're in an even worse spot. You've slapped Britney. But the court did find that she actually slapped herself. And you said, and like you said, he apologized. So if you're asking my opinion, I think this is just a really rough situation where a famous person thought that they were better than other people and they expected to have punishment dealt out, and it wasn't.
Now, the video did kind of look like the trajectory of the hand was directly aimed at the face a little bit. You know, I mean, I don't know. I kind of think he slapped her, but, you know.
I side with Pickled Landon here. I really do think that the guy was really just trying to do his job. If you, in the video itself, it shows that they're walking away and she's coming up from quite a ways behind them. And I didn't hear her really yelling or anything like that. So seeing just a random hand come up and touch your client, like you said, it's really just going to activate that reflex that he has. You know, he's on clock. He's ready for stuff to happen. So I think it's just, you know, an unfortunate accident. I don't think it was intentional.
How the mighty have fallen. But, you know, I don't know. Special people get special privileges. Like, so
Not today.
Would have thought that might have, I don't know. I mean, who knows? If you had security, would you let them slap Britney Spears? Do you think Britney Spears was in the wrong? Do you think Victor is worth getting slapped in the face over? Let us know down in the comments below. So let's all just imagine, right? We're at a job. We're getting paid $90 to $140K a year, right? Not bad, right? It's pretty good. I would say it's above average if I'm not mistaken. So you're getting paid more than a lot of people in the US. Although good, I don't think it's Lamborghini Urus good, right? Or like Lamborghini Urus with a Tesla, with a Durango, with a few motorsport bikes, things like that. So you're working your little job. Your coworker, who you know is making about the same, she's in the same price range, pulls up in a Lamborghini. What's your first thoughts? What do you think they're doing for this money?
My first thought, you want to know my first thought? Who's selling what and how much is it worth?
You think drugs?
That's my first thought usually. Yeah, drugs are they're low-key like a crypto trader, or they trade stocks very well, or they were born rich and they just work a job. Like, I think there are scenarios where that happens.
Okay, those all seem possible. I think drug dealer is probably the most plausible one out of the ones you listed. Shumba, opinions? What are you thinking if someone pulls up in the Lambo and you know you can't afford a Lambo?
Honestly, my first thought is going to be that they are very irresponsible with their money and they took out way more debt than they should on a toy.
Okay, so you're thinking that she's just buying this Lamborghini strictly off the Amazon's back.
Yep.
You assume that they're doing right and they're a God-fearing person that's just dumb.
I'm thinking that, you know, with this job that pays, what you said, 90 to 140?
Yep.
I'm thinking they got approved for that job and then they immediately made a bunch of bad life decisions and they'll deal with those consequences in the future.
So you're thinking they're getting approved for all those whips?
I mean,
Tesla, the Durango, the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini is the most out of pocket. The rest is pretty understandable.
potentially could be some sort of fraud in there as well.
Okay, fair enough. Well, an Amazon employee did that. They were pulling up in all these luxury vehicles and, well, I mean, I guess you can't really call it Tesla luxury. I don't know. That's up for debate, build quality and such. But yeah, no, she pulls up in Lamborghinis and such, and I believe bought $1 million in property, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, let me run through the list of exactly what they got caught with here as far as possessions. They got that $1 million home, the 2019 Lamborghini Urus, like you had mentioned, as well as a 2021 Dodge Durango and a 2022 Tesla Model X, and a 2018 Porsche Panamera. And one of them, or herself, maybe she liked riding motorcycles, bought a Kawasaki ZSX 636.
Man, it doesn't even say if the Durango's an SRT or not. That's kind of important to the whole story.
With that much shit, I would not assume any of the stuff I told you before. I would assume they're selling drugs or killing people for money, or they work contract, like they're getting like a general contractor. General contractors can make money like that sometimes.
You're not doing general contracting and working at Amazon at the same time. There's no way.
It was an operations manager. Then maybe it's a remote job, one of those remote jobs, because they were filing vendor slips. Like, they may not have needed to be in the warehouse.
So let's keep this pushing forward. What are the consequences for her, Shumba?
The woman's name is Kyrika Wortham. She was only with Amazon for a year and a half. She currently got arrested, and she is now serving 16 years in prison time, and she'll also have to serve 3 years of probation after she's done with that.
Do we know if this is Fed time or if this is just regular?
This is Fed time. What she got booked with was conspiring to commit wire fraud, and at the number of $9.4 million stolen, yeah, the federal government's the one that took this case.
No, but the federal government for sure took this on, and it wasn't a state case?
Yes, this was the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Oof. Well, I forget what it is. I think it's like 3/4 of your time or more that you have to do if it's Fed time. That's pretty rough, honestly. And the feds don't lose. They be on that shit.
I honestly think it's a little unfair.
You think it's unfair?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because I think that Amazon CEO, I think he claimed like, how many millions or billions in PPP loans, and he lays off his workers all the time. And at the end of the day, 9.4 million compared to their annual revenue is what? Like what percentage? It's below 1%, right?
I don't know. Jeff Bezos seems like an upstanding citizen, bro.
No, he's kind of a POS. I mean, at the end of the day, he steals more from the American people than anyone.
Hey, behind every rich man is a hardworking poor person. Also, she wasn't poor.
She wasn't poor. That's what I'm saying, though, is comparatively to him. So, like, this would be a lot easier to make this point if this was an Amazon warehouse worker. This was some, like, Genghis Khan rise from the pits and stop being a slave and take over and get your money.
She's kind of being greedy.
She's being greedy, but is it as greedy as Jeff Bezos?
I mean...
Like, can you say she's just as greedy as Jeff Bezos?
Jeff Bezos made a company. She is getting paid handsomely for not warehouse jobs, so she's not even in the trenches with it.
And she was sharing it with her other employees. This is a Robin Hood situation. She was stealing from the rich and giving to the slightly above average.
So
mental gymnastics right now with you.
I do want to talk a little bit about how they actually did this. So because she was a manager over the receivings, what she did was she allowed other Amazon workers that wanted to be in this little cabal that she made. She allowed them access into the vendor services in Amazon themselves, and they would submit requests to Amazon systems, essentially saying, hey, I dropped off 20 pallets of PS5s. And then she, as the manager, would receive them and say, yep, I got those 20 pallets of PS5s. I'm going to go ahead and pay you, Mr. Company. And Amazon would be paying these people for products that were never brought to Amazon, as well as services that were never rendered to Amazon. And this all happened, again, need to state this again, 1.5 years this woman was doing this with all of these different people. So that makes me believe with $9.4 million, they were running several items a day in order to reach this price.
I think they just got greedy because realistically, you kind of keep it on the low. You probably get away with this for quite some time. It goes unnoticed, but who knows, honestly. I mean, when you get free money.
If you had just been less selfish, this would have gone on for what, 20 years? 30 years? 40 years?
This reminds me of Office Space.
Which part?
All of this.
Oh, you mean just the plot of the movie?
Yeah, the pinching pennies. They could have just pinched pennies over time, and they probably would have gotten away with it. But like Rugburn was saying, because they got so greedy and pulled all this that quickly, that's what got them caught.
Yeah, if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
And I think the nine premium vehicles and the $1 million home, like maybe you shouldn't have spent all your fruits of your labor right away either.
Yeah, I definitely think the tax fraud department was definitely let in a little bit on this because of that. But anyways, let us know down in the comments below. You gonna get greedy and ball out on a Lambo? You gonna keep it a little more key, pitch pennies? You gonna just go ahead and accept the fact that you have a really good job and not get too greedy and steal? Let us know down in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a comment. Which story was your favorite? With that being said, I'm Rugburn,
and I'm Pickled Landon,
and this is Tombstone Tourist.